Hey guys, hope you had a great week, whether you spent it with Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, you went out to a fancy restaurant, or you had pizza and Netflix and chill. However you spent it, I hope that you had a great week. Today we are talking again about time management, and we are going to target specifically the classroom assessment classes. There are many specialty classes. There's VIPKid Free Talk and Grammar and many others. And so we'll cover those in the next lesson. Today I want to talk specifically about the classroom assessments and some tips and tricks to get through the classroom, all of the slides in that 25-minute mark. Tip number one is I look at the amount of time that I have, and I know you say it's 25 minutes, but if the student comes in late, if there's problems, I look at the amount of time I have when I start the class and the amount of slides that I have in the class. Typically you have about 48 to 52 slides per classroom assessment. Keep in mind one of those slides is the greeting slide, the warm-up page. If you're level 2, you also have your rewards. The reward page is a page on there. And you have the assessment reminder or the enrichment reminder. You have a blank page and you have a goodbye slide at the end. So keeping all of that in mind, I like to take the amount of slides I have and divide that straight down the middle and say if it's 48 slides, I need to get done with 14 of those slides by 12 minutes. And that helps me gauge, do I need to extend? Do I need to just get through these questions? What do I need to do to help regulate that so I am where I need to be at 25 minutes? A lot of times if you look at, I gotta get to 48 slides in 25 minutes, that seems like a lot of slides. And when I first started teaching, I remember being kind of overwhelmed, kind of getting lost in the sauce, like how do I gauge this? How long is too long on a slide? Because just like the regular major course classes like we discussed a few weeks ago, it's 1 minute per slide. And if you spend 1 minute per slide, obviously you'd be there for 48 minutes. So that's not gonna work. So I take half of the slides and say I have to get done with half of these slides in 12 to 13 minutes. Second is I want to make sure I look at the number of questions that are in the slide. I have I'm going to show you a clip of an actual class, and this shows you, not their grades, it's just showing you how many questions are in each section. So sometimes you may look and you say, oh, there's 6 levels, but there is maybe 5 questions in the reading and comprehension, and there's only 2 questions in the grammar. Sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes it's a very math-heavy assessment, and so you need to look at how many questions are per slide, and gauge how you're doing based on that. If you are going really, short on your time, and you still have a section with 5 questions in it, maybe you need to speed things up a little bit. So I look at the amount of questions that they have. And last is I want to make sure that I get through all of the questions in the amount of time that we have. And sometimes that's very easy. Sometimes the student is just going, and you're like, wow, this guy's doing great. And that might be when you need some more scaffolding to make sure that, your child that's doing really great, taking 15 seconds, 20 seconds a slide, is not going to run out of material. And that might seem like, wow, that's crazy. I'm sure if you've been teaching a while, you've had those students, and you're just like, okay, now what? We've asked all the questions multiple times. What are we supposed to do? That would be a great time for extension questions, conversational questions. Sometimes I even play tic-tac-toe with them, or I read them a few pages out of a book. So really anything you could do there if you do run out of time, which it's unusual, but every once in a while you have a student. Most of the time, my issues come from students that maybe don't understand the material all the way. And so you want to get them that best grade. You realize and understand that they don't understand the material. You're asking this question, and maybe they're not even doing well on the test in general. And so you're really trying to help them understand what they're saying, understand what they're speaking to you, or it's just that question that they're really failing on. Stop, skip to the next question, just like you would in a classroom if a student was having trouble with the question. Go to the next question and complete the answers. It could be that as you're going, maybe that kind of warms up their brain a little bit, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I remember that question. You can go back and get that answer. And it could be that they're just struggling, and you know what? It's okay if they struggle. They're trying very hard. They're doing more than you and I are doing. If my guess is right, I'm not trying to learn Chinese, but they are going to school, doing all of this work, and learning English and Chinese. They're learning both languages at the same time. Sometimes I think they work so hard, and so I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. I'm just saying as a teacher to teacher, sometimes they struggle, and we just need to let them go past it and finish the rest of the questions. It could be that they just didn't do well in the test, and that's okay. They're trying, but it could be that you were able to get through all of those other questions, though, even though you didn't get through that one, but it was better than getting stuck on that question for 3 or 4 minutes and then not getting to an entire section. So it kind of gives a better assessment of where they're at. A couple thoughts that I have that, to add on to these tips. Number one, these are spiral lessons. So the student learns about it, and then they'll learn about it again, and then they'll learn about it again, and they keep teaching it over and over. And if you've been teaching VIPKid for a while, you'll realize that this unit might be on animals, and the very next unit might be on farm animals, and the next unit might be on city life and farm life, with what animals live in the city, what animals live on the farm. Now we're talking a little bit more about farm. So they just keep gathering the information and moving it, gathering information and moving it. So don't feel like you need to teach the child everything, every picture, every word, every sentence possible in that one slide. An advisory teacher told me this, and it really helped me. Like, okay, as long as they're grasping it, I can move on. They're gonna get it again, and I most likely will teach them, or another great teacher will teach them this, and they'll help them learn. So that's number one. And number two, don't be afraid to say they don't know it. And if you feel like they're really struggling, submit a ticket or tell the learning partner, and they can put them back a level. I had a student who was really struggling. She was just not getting traction. She was just really, really struggling, and she went to another teacher for a little while, and when she came back in just a couple of weeks, I was like, wow, she had gained so much ground. And I don't know what that says about my teaching, but she had gained so much ground, and that's what I want to say, is that all of us teachers work together as a team to help these students. So don't feel like the entire weight of this child's English education is on your shoulders. We are all here as a team to help each other, to help these students. The lessons are phenomenal. They will teach these students. If they do bad on one assessment, that is not an indictment on their character or their smart level or anything like that. It is just where they're at. Don't be afraid to mark it and go on to the next question. Guys, I hope that you had a great week, like I said, and I hope that you have a good rest of the week on hump day, and I hope that you can use these tips. If you have more suggestions or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I hope that you check out the link wherever my husband decides to put it, and click subscribe, like the page, and don't forget to enjoy the journey.